What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? We did it. We made it. It is Friday, so we got all the way to the end of the week, and it's gonna be an important day, a very extremely important day for how today closes, how some of these weekly candle closes. We know we're at a very, very crucial spot in the market, but it's stressful. It's stressful. But what makes it a lot less stressful, something a little bit more bearable, is I got the squadron with me. We got Albert in the house. We got Andy, Brian, Greg. Good morning. We got Jay. Good morning to Jeremy Hertz. Good morning, Jill, Joe, Marius, Martina. We got Mike Fritz in the house. Good morning, Ron, Sebastian, Will, Wally, all my peeps at YouTube land. We got Jeff Pierce, all the lurkers in the background, not commenting on YouTube. It's okay. I still love you. Just hit that like and subscribe button. We got Gene. We got Rado in YouTube land. Good morning to you as well. Bill, good morning. The squadron is here. We are here. All right, let's see what the spot wants to do. We have PCP numbers coming out. So personal consumer expense, PCE. Yeah, that was okay. It was okay. For the most part, in the individual breakdown of numbers, we met. So expectations, so nothing too crazy there. No real crazy, like we missed by a lot type situations. Market was already starting to rally prior to that number coming out, and we did continue the rally after. So right now, okay, you're gonna get a little gap up, still well inside of yesterday's candle. Let's just do let's do a Fibonacci on yesterday's candle. Something like this. We're probably getting close to the 50%. Let's see. Yeah, so we got the 50% of yesterday's candle. We're slightly above that. That should be somewhere around 414.46. And then yesterday's candle, the 618 becomes 415.13. Any signs, any hopes of us getting a bounce today? I think we have to start getting closes above that 415.13 zone. So not too far away from that pre-market. Obviously, we've got 27 minutes till this market opens. And I'm going to be using that zone as some kind of potential little bounce spot or rejection spot. At least see what happens at this zone, and then we'll go from there to see if we get above it. Okay, next stop takes us to probably 416.52. I do got a untouched VPOC up here as well, 417.96, and I do have the magic number still sitting here for 1831. So we'll see. We're going to probably need a bounce into that. If we were looking for a bigger, longer term correction in the market, I would almost rather we do almost kind of nothing today. And like nothing on Monday, nothing on Tuesday, nothing on Wednesday. We're going to need to chop around for a little bit if this is going to be a sustainable push out of here. Otherwise, yeah, I was on 4 to 5 yesterday Eastern. I was going through the stocks. Stephen Wong nailed it. He's like, man, he's starting to sound repetitive. Every candle just didn't close good. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, every stock I'm looking at not looking impressive, to be honest. But we will need probably for this, if we don't have a just short term just run up and drop, we're probably going to need to bounce around here for a little bit, gain some positions for both bulls, bears, and then take off. If that happens, I like it a lot better, where I think the bounce could be more sustainable. But obviously we are at some crucial spots, and we'll see what happens from there. But otherwise, yeah, we're at a pretty decent rejection spot to fade this thing back down. For support purpose, I would be looking at yesterday's VPOC, which is 413.02. So if we do start to sell somewhere range bound in there, I think could make sense. But again, we'll see if we can break out of something bullish. We will see. Good morning, Lou. All right, we got Qs. All right, we closed on the Qs below the 200. Not great. This is a little bit more impressive of a gap. Just for where we're gapping. Still, let's do the same thing. We'll throw a fib on yesterday's candle, just to see if this is just a 50% retest of kind of death and destruction from yesterday. And we are very close to that 618 now pre-market. So again, 347.14. Let's see if we can break out of there. Otherwise, all of this bounce is just a retest from yesterday's candle. We get rejected 347.14, and then we start to sell again. And then I'm looking for VPOC from yesterday. That would take us to hopefully some kind of safety level or resistance somewhere right about this. I got it at 345.10. So somewhere in that range. Again, if we start breaking north of that, look for that retest, look for that to hold, and then I think we go bullish. Otherwise, this is still just really retesting. We haven't gone as far as we wanted to yet. On SPY, we got a little bit higher pre-market, but I think that's right into that 618. So that's where I'm going to put my resistance for now. If the Qs can bounce from here, again, the positivity of the Qs, we finally found one, is that we are above the 200 again on this gap up. So having some kind of a pullback, retesting that VPOC from yesterday, kind of closing maybe even into this 347.20 zone. That'd still be a good hopium candle for us to end a week on. Wouldn't be as horrible as obviously closing at new lows of of the Qs. Breaking down yesterday's candle, that wouldn't be too swift. Taylor Swift. Otherwise, to the higher side, we got to look at if we start to break that number, the higher side of this one, probably 349.16. And then I do have a kind of sort of untested. We got up there yesterday, not quite to the penny, but 350.56 would be my target that we got to get through. And then we got to start to put in some kind of higher high VPOC. Start to try to change this trend a little bit, but yeah, we'll have to see. I'm going into a 2-day weekend, still a lot of turmoil overseas in both directions, and we'll see. TLT, obviously, that was again, kind of leading indicator yesterday. That was definitely helping some of those rallies out. But the one interesting thing is that there was a certain point where the market was still just dipping and TLT was going crazy. So we're going to have to still watch this one. We did have a bullish engulfing candle yesterday. Let's just put this line on the chart too. So we had a bullish engulfing candle. Pretty decent. I'm looking for that to be my support. That's going to be somewhere around $84.05. Let me just see if we hit that pre-market. We did. We did already come down. We hit that pre-market. Maybe we get one more bounce, and if this thing continues to run, again, now we'd start to get a little bit of hope, at least into the bond world, and we'll see if stocks want to follow. But we have 2 days in a row of higher VPOCs at this point. Not quite a trend. We're going to need one more today to come in on TLT for this to actually be a trend. So we're going to need today's VPOC to close anywhere above 84.56. I do have a resistance up here as well at 84.69. So to get through yesterday's VPOC plus the day before on a gap down, gap and go bearish, still inside day, but it is gap and go bearish. It's gonna be a tough order, I think, for TLT to actually make a trend today, and probably ends up with more chop. But maybe we could at least rely on that little bounce spot. That's where I would get in long on TLT if we were able to try to get that bounce. So let's see if that wants to hold. Otherwise, to the downside, I really don't want to touch that one, but that's 83.31, and that would be a breakdown of yesterday's entire candle, and that would look really, really ugly. So if we break down 83.31, even if we get a bounce there, providing it's not like the most incredible bounce you've ever seen, but we close anywhere below 84.03 after hitting that, that's still going to look pretty ugly for the markets, but we'll see. All right, we got Tesla. Mike, your chat's on hosting panels too. If you don't mind changing that over to everybody. Tammy Jason says, how much is the subscription fee for the trading room? It's for the all access pass, it's $275, I believe. You can go to reallifetrading.com, and then you can check out all the details on that if you'd like to. Tesla. Tessie. A little bit of a gap up. We got support, probably looking for 207.71. So it is a gap and go, still inside yesterday's range. That's going to be a little tough to trade, I think. Looking for 212.65 is my first resistance. Then I'm looking for 213.68 is the next. The next one after that is 215.10. And then I got one more up here. That's 260. So I got 4 resistance above me. The good news on some of these resistance, at least, is yesterday we hit 1, 2, and 3 of them. So I still have one untouched VPOC up there, 216.53. Let me see if I got any volume areas over here to worry about. I got one, yeah, 217.28. So that's gonna be a much bigger number. The one again, I'm trying to look for the light into the darkness, and it's not a good looking chart. It does look like we're breaking down, but I will put some hope here. We do have the 618 at 209.34. We did hit that number, and today is a gap and go above it. So there's where I would put my bullish case. Putting any kind of stop. I mean, it is again inside day. Could this thing pull back? If it pulls back, I want 207.94 to really hold. And the closer I can get down to that 207.94, 207.69, then maybe I could throw a stop at the low of yesterday. But see if there's a pullback here. There is a little bit of resistance above us that we'd have to work ourselves through. So, and we're still really just inside this high wave candle. We tried to break twice. Both of those were bull traps. Got us right back into here. We're still kind of leaning on this high wave to be like, okay, high wave at the 618. Maybe we get a bounce from here. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But it's still very much in chop zone. We're right in the middle of that high wave as well. But if it pulls back, that we did have a gap and go. We do have a little bit extra bullish sentiment. We got a little. I'll go with that. We got a little bullish sentiment. For how long and how strong are the bulls? That's a whole different question. But buying a dip on that one, close to that 618, close to yesterday's VPOC, but it would have to pull back first, I think, just to get a little better risk reward. Amazon is. Yep. So they reported earnings yesterday. They had quite the wild ride after markets. I mean, I don't think a roller coaster could have gave as much whiplash as Amazon after reports. So they did beat on earnings per share. They did beat on revenue. You got a nice strong candle out of the gate, gave it all back. We were even watching this thing in real time going, all right, well, I mean, it's not looking good. We're below the close to this point, but we got a little bit of support. I guess they got on the conference call around here and maybe saved it. That was probably what happened on this one. I didn't pay attention to the conference call. But we do have a VPOC moving higher, at least today, from pre-market. So that's a little bit bullish. I do like this gap a decent amount. Again, we got all those moving averages that we're going to run into. What is the last company that we've saw that really held its gains after earnings for this quarter? I can't think of any. Microsoft gave it all back yesterday. They even dipped a little bit. I think Netflix maybe. Did Netflix hold? I mean, Netflix kind of held. Yeah, so Netflix held. We started to give some of that back yesterday as well. I would say Netflix might be the only one. Google got a drop on earnings. That'd be my. Does investors want to take this? Does traders want to take this as a gift and sell? You have a little bit of resistance here. Could also be support if we pop a tick or two higher. So give me a couple more cents, maybe above that candle would look decent. We had some high volume here. I don't know if I want to include all that volume because I think a lot of that came from after hours yesterday. But we had on this one some decent volume. That is a gap and go. I really don't want to fade this thing bearish. So I'm not going to play it bearish. If it gives me a bullish opportunity, I'll take it in the way of the gap. And I will try to play this thing bullish if I could. I also would probably only be trying to get a 1.2 out of this because you got a resistance 127.27. Then I start working myself into these moving averages. Then I start getting into 129.28. So I think it would have to pull back a little bit. I got the 200 sitting here. I don't know if we get down to that 200. That's 123.22. But maybe if I could get into like 124.92, that would be an appropriate spot to try to take this long. But otherwise, different market, different times. We've had earnings that just kind of held up, ran after gap and goes worked. We're still in sell the rip territory, at least for now. This is a rip. I don't know why it would be different than different earnings, but it's very hard to go bearish on this one. I'll try to go long. Let me move this thing higher on the list, and we'll see. We got Netflix and FLX. The Netflix. Still in chop zone, so we're still inside candle. A lot of these, I haven't seen anything besides Amazon really gap out of yesterday's range. This would have to be a buy low, sell high scenario. So right where we open, whether it wants to run or not, I don't know. But let's see if we can get a pullback to like 40405. It does get a little scary down there, but that would be essentially the closing price that we'd be testing off of. I'm looking at maybe some kind of support like 402. So we came down. We did hit that. We did hit that support. We bounced from there. We did throw in at least a little bit higher VPOC than that support. So that's decent. I think I'd want to still wait for a pullback on this one. And the closer I could get to this 404, I'll just call it 404, but closer I could get to 404. I think the happier I would be. We do have one resistance, 407.15. That one's already been covered. So that's going to be a little bit weaker to the higher side. All of those have been hit. So all of those VPOCs have been hit with yesterday's candle. Not really the strongest looking candle, at least. So I think this one fades. If we start to break down 402, we got a lot of room on this thing. So that's got to be the number I'm looking for. 402 for the short. Otherwise, maybe try it long at 404, 404.05, something like that. Yeah, that's tough. We got Apple, AAPL. Out and in YouTube land. What's happening? All right, we got Apple. Apple. I think this was one of the ones I was probably repetitive on yesterday. Yeah, it was a horrible looking close. Gross looking close. All momentum to the downside. Right now, we are at a very extremely key level. Again, if we want to do maybe like if we're going to say, hey, I want to be bullish on Apple today because maybe it's oversold, maybe it's the best company in the world, maybe yada yada yada. We are at yesterday's VPOC. Looks to me like we're slightly below it. Yesterday's candle looks horrific. If we were to go bullish, I'd be looking at 168.56. Maybe you could squeeze out 169.25. Maybe. So I would be if I was bullish, and I can't go bullish until I get closes above 167.24. If you could get a good risk reward on that trade, I would probably be out, especially with that candle, probably at the 50% retracement, 168.57. That would also be my spot to kind of look to go short on this one as well. And then if somehow we squeeze into this once, I'm going to put 2 lines on this chart as well. Something like this. Something like this. These are my 2 targets in a bullish direction. And that bullish direction is only going to happen if we can start breaking yesterday's VPOC. Let's throw actually one more line on this chart. Somewhere about there. So if we get an open above that. All right, well, then we're going to get our stops maybe at 166.84 would be decent. I really want that to hold. We can get up to a little bit. That would give us decent risk reward to a bullish direction, but that's how I would have to kind of design that play to attempt it. I don't see us closing. I mean, maybe the market does some crazy things sometimes, but I don't see us closing at 171.48, 43. I don't see us closing above this candle. We would have to have some kind of crazy news or really crazy short squeeze for that to happen. Otherwise, I think bears are probably still going to get in and just trying to figure out where on Apple. But we'll keep that one higher on the lists, just so you can go back and forth to it today. It's already kind of decent up there. Okay. Roblox, RBLX. The Roblo. A little bit of a gap and go on Roblox. It's actually above some decent resistance level. So I would have had resistance at 31.75. Again, this is sell the rip territory in this market. So see if you can at least get a pullback 31.75. Next immediate target probably takes you to about 32.67. Maybe you could squeeze like 32.84 out of this. Looks like they had news. Let me see if there's any Roblox gains. 2 bulls. Uno dos. It's in a sweet spot to benefit from generative AI. No, they got AI. Oh, they got AI articles coming out. That's just all in, I guess. If this was like 3 months ago, little late to the game on the AI play, Roblox. You do have a wide open gap. So as a swing trade basis, I'm sure you're probably eyeing down that. But yeah, you had some good news. 2 bulls came in. Just 2. But if those bulls are Bill Ackman, we're good. Not a lot of resistance really up until I'd be looking for like a 37.25, 37.16 target. Probably not today. Today on an extremely bullish day would give us somewhere close to this probably 35.30 zone. But we got one more moving average we got to break through. Plus we got to break through that. It does look interesting though. If I was going to play this one, it would have to be bullish. Maybe this would be a good candidate for give me like a red 3-minute candle out of the gate. We could take a break of, especially if that red candle comes down and I could get an entry anywhere above 31.78. So somewhere in that zone will be a decent pullback, knowing that we're in sell the rip market, and then we start to break out. But that looks decent. And then target, if we could get there, 32.7, so that still gives us just under $1. If we get that pullback, we can get $1 into that. All right, we might be able to play that. We might be able to. TGT. Great looking double bottom on a daily chart. Technically, this would be a retest gap. You're also inside candle. So I would expect a fade, especially into this little resistance zone. If we're going off that daily double bottom, it's got higher lows on it, so that looks decent. Probably trying to buy it off of 111.05. So this one, let's see if this one could fade down a little bit. And if we can get into this 111.05 zone, maybe 110.73. I kind of don't even want it to get there. If I was to feel long, I really don't want yesterday's VPOC to break, but yeah, I would look for continuation, especially in a bullish, if we do have a bullish day today. But just knowing that there's going to be probably targets today would be a 112.37. If we start to break that, then we have a really nice trade up to 114.83. But again, I think we'd have to run really get some good bullish momentum, especially in retail sector, for that to happen. We would need like GPS to start squeezing again. Maybe even Kohl's, something like that. Is Kohl's getting a gap up too? Yeah, with the entire market coming down, retail's actually looking decent still. So we still have a little bit of like maybe we got oversold. There's your double bottom. Kohl's maybe to $23, something like that. But I think it depends if this pre-market move is just a retest from yesterday's gap. Then I don't think any of this is holding and we fade. Otherwise, something like Target could be decent, but I'd still want to see a little pullback there first. Plug. Yep, we got plenty of time. We got 5 minutes. We can make anything work. Intel, Amazon, we looked at. Intel, we did not. So we'll take a look at that. That looked good too. Plug, and then we go back to Amazon too. But Plug, we got Plug Power. Enphase got absolutely mollywopped yesterday. Enphase got killed. I'd be a little worried about anything with the word plug in it, even though they are slightly different. But you do have a little bit of gap up, still inside day. So this would be a buy low, sell high opportunity. Maybe this one could fade back to 627. You do have some room on this one. If we get hit this VWAP, this VPOC, that takes us to 660. That would be probably the max I'd be holding it for today. And then we got to get through that resistance. The one benefit is we got there 3 times. Obviously, anytime we've gotten into that range, we've been pushed back down. We've been making higher highs, higher lows as well on this one. So maybe we can break that high wave, which would be impressive. No, could take us into like 660 again. 660, and if we're really good, that's a horrible number. 666. Let's just hope for 660 then. I don't know. I rebuke the 666. All right, we got INTC. Mollywob, that might be your new favorite word. Man, I saw my list of top 10 too. All right, we got INTC. I really wanted this one above 35 at open. For me, it's just a wait and see. Their earnings were really good. Out of everything, and we were watching this live yesterday, I liked them even better than Amazon. So for bullish direction, I think they had a very good surprise earnings. I don't want to put anything past them, but this is technically a decent gap and go. We're still at least above this 34.50. We're starting to get into some resistance up there. I don't want to play this one bearish. I do want to figure out how to play this one bullish. So I think we are trapping some bears on this thing. Question is how many bears? We're not trapping any of these guys. We're not trapping those guys. We're trapping really 2 to 3 days. So it's probably not a crazy gap and go. And we do got some resistance up here, probably until like 35.72. So that would be my target for today. If this thing pulls back down, especially if we get, I don't want to give up that moving average. I'm going to have to wait and see on this one. And then again, I have not yet, maybe today is different. I've not yet seen a company really hold earnings this quarter yet. We will see. All right. I think we got through all the tickers. Let's take a look real quick at Enphase. I got about a minute left. These guys, I guess we'll end the show on a negative note here. Yeah, but there's nothing really holding this one up either. Probably until about 78.93, and we probably go lower than that too. But pretty horrific gap. The only thing that could save this one, again, it is technically a gap and go bearish as well. It is down a lot. They cut their guidance in half, so that's not pleasant. You've already had a big massive gap down. So I can imagine there's some shorts profitable there. After that gap down, there's probably some more shorts that got in here, and they're gonna reap the benefit. So this one actually might act as the fade higher, but Enphase would be another one if we could get a couple like we could maybe try to look for something bullish, but otherwise I think this one fades higher. But unfortunately, that is the opening bell. Fortunately and unfortunately, but everybody out there in YouTube land, appreciate you joining each and every day. Check out reallifetraining.com. We do have all the free educational classes. It's a free 99, lots of free 99 courses. You guys can check all those out. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys later. Have a good weekend, guys.